Hello, and welcome to this holiday special of the Sausage Factory, in which we will be watching and discussing Bob Clark's 1974 classic, Black Christmas. Apologies that we're starting a little late tonight. I actually got bit by the technical difficulties bug. I had my Blue Yeti microphone mysteriously stopped working. Then I couldn't find the cord for my Blue Snowball microphone, so I had to go dig out the old headset and, screaming and yelling and throwing stuff around. After that, I was ready. So, anyway, I'm your moderator, Pizzal. With me tonight, I've got the legendary Rambo Raff. What's going on, Rambo?
Doing well. Like I was telling these guys before, I'm glad we're doing this. Otherwise, I'd have to be watching Steven Seagal's Against the Dark. And I'd rather be watching this, so I'm glad to be doing this.
Well, I told Rambo, I said, you've picked the wrong. Why are you spending the holiday season in misery? Self-imposed misery.
I told
Don't hate yourself, man. You deserve good films.
It's a stamina test. It's a sanity test. If I could do this, I'd get a medal of my own choosing.
You deserve it.
It's literally, if you survive these movies, it's like that torture in Clockwork Orange. So
exactly.
Man,
if you did certain
Steven Seagal should come to your house and deliver to you a donut and a trophy, or a donut shaped trophy.
There you go. He's too busy with the CIA or the KGB or the KFC or the Mickey D.
The latter, mostly the latter, I would say. The latter too, mostly.
He's too busy making like 2 films a week.
What's hilarious? There was another movie called Black Dawn. There is literally a shot of him driving with a McDonald's fry container in the dashboard. Literally a shot.
Well, it's not like he doesn't look like he eats at McDonald's.
Yeah, well.
In some of those movies, I think it's more entertaining to watch a dog take a crap. I mean, some of those movies are horrible, man. Against the Dark, you're in for a treat.
Yeah, I've actually seen some of that on the Sci-Fi Channel, and that is a really bad movie.
I have to confess, I've been bored enough, I've actually seen the whole thing, and oh, man.
Wow.
Yeah, after the last show that Rambo was on, I went and put a bunch of stuff into my Netflix queue. Now my recommendations are just shit now. It's like garbage to me.
Like literally, one of your recommendations should just be like a picture of feces. Because,
Would you rather stare at this turd for an hour and a half?
Exactly. There's somebody at Netflix working on that algorithm going, man, this guy loves horrible movies. You know what I mean?
At least you know that turd's not going to have a stunt double.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true.
He'll do his own ADR work, too.
Well, also joining me tonight is Jay the Stingray. What's going on, Stingray?
What is up, guys? Glad to be here.
How are you doing?
Good, man. Can't complain.
Awesome. And I hear that you have just cracked open your new Scream Factory Blu-ray. You are breaking it in with this live commentary.
I just popped the tab. I popped the seal on it.
Nice. I think what's funny is that we're all using different editions of the movie. Like I've got the Seasons Grievings edition, you've got the Scream Factory, Rambo's got the Critical Mass DVD, and Mike's got the Critical Mass Blu-ray. So all over the place.
It's all the same runtime though, so we should be cool.
Yeah, it's all the same runtime. Yeah.
Which is
but also joining me tonight as well is the Professor, B-Movie Mike. How are you, Mike?
Hey, what's up, guys? Ready for some fun? I love this movie. It's gonna be a good time.
Our two Canadians are not here.
I know.
Their film.
I can't believe our two Canadians are not here to support. I mean, this is like this is, what other Canadian movie is there? Well, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, this is their Halloween.
Yeah, but yeah, this is the Canadians' Halloween.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like a Canadian. I mean, it's like them not showing up to us watching a hockey game. You know what I mean? I don't get it. But anyway, how have you guys been? Have you seen any movies since last week?
Yeah.
We know what you've seen, Ray. You've seen a lot of bad stuff.
We don't want you to have to relive it.
Yeah, we don't want you to have to relive it. Have you seen anything good? Put it that way.
There were two halfway decent Seagal films. Urban Justice is just him in the hood beating up people, and Pistol Whipped, which he did with Lance Henriksen, which was halfway decent.
Okay.
I thought those were the two halfway decent because it's Ashley Seagal's voice throughout the entire movie, and it's not fight doubles, and it's just simple plots, and just how it should be. So, if there's a direct-to-video era that you guys look for Seagal, people out there in Sausage Land, Urban Justice, Pistol Whipped are the two to go for, because pretty much everything else is pure anal shit.
Mike, Stingray, you guys seen anything good this week?
You go ahead, Mike.
I've only watched one film. Took a look at Lethal Weapon. Haven't seen it in a while.
Oh yeah.
It's on my list of must-watch Christmas movies, but it's been a while since I've seen it. I forgot that Gary Busey actually at one time wasn't completely batshit crazy. I mean,
Long time ago.
Mr. Joshua is actually a batshit crazy character, but compared to what he's become, it was rather normal.
Yeah.
He actually acted. It was great.
When did that happen? Was that around the Point Break era?
It was 87, I think.
No, I mean, when did Gary Busey go crazy?
Oh, yeah. must have-
Was that his motorcycle accident?
I think it was. Yeah.
I think, yeah. That was before. You can definitely tell.
Yeah.
I don't know when that happened.
Of course, you know, that movie's classic. It's got the Atkins in it.
Oh yeah, of course.
You
Of
know.
course. Of course.
That's right.
You can definitely tell it's 80s. Once you get farther away from something and you haven't seen it for a while and you watch it, you're just like, oh my God. From the mullet to the music, it's a good time.
Oh yeah.
I did have an argument with somebody on whether or not it was as good as Die Hard or not. To me, those movies are equal, so I can't argue which one's better. Maybe I could give you the edge to Die Hard a little bit. I mean, Die Hard definitely has the better villain. Although Mr. Joshua was a good villain, but Hans Gruber to me that's the best villain in any Die Hard film.
It's not really
Yeah.
Christmas until you see Hans Gruber falling out of that window.
Exactly. But Lethal Weapon's a good one. If you haven't seen it or haven't seen it in a while, give it a watch. It's entertaining.
I think that
Booby.
I think that'd be a good live commentary for next holiday. Die Hard and then Lethal Weapon back to
That
back.
sounds good to me.
Oh man, yeah.
I like both of
Well,
those.
or maybe not back to back, but like 1 week we do Die Hard, the next week we do Lethal Weapon.
We do all four Lethal Weapons back to back.
Or we just do the last one with Chris Rock in it. Just do that one. So, I've been exploring a lot of new holiday horror movies. Couple that I haven't seen that I'm doing reviews for my new holiday horror series. I'll throw one out there that I really enjoyed that I think you guys should check out if you haven't seen it. I'd never even heard of this movie until I was doing some research. It's called Rare Exports. Have you guys heard or seen Rare Exports?
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Really enjoyed it, and I went and I rewatched A Christmas Horror Story because I thought it's been, second time around, it'll probably, it'll not be as good. I'll see all the flaws in it. I watched it the second time around. I think I liked it more the second time around.
Dude, that's a great movie. I'm so
I
glad
know.
you recommended it because as terrible as that cover art was, I thought it was like an asylum ripoff of Krampus.
Yeah,
But
totally.
it's almost better than Krampus in my opinion.
Yeah,
I enjoy it.
I love it. It's great, man.
Yeah.
It's great. Every little vignette is really good. And I mean, you've got William Shatner being like the narrator, and you've got Santa battling zombie elves. It doesn't get any better. And it's on Netflix right now for free. Go watch it. I mean, yeah. Like I was flipping through Netflix the other night, and I showed it to my girlfriend. And I was like, "We need to watch this." Don't. She looked at it. And she was like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "No. Cover looks bad, but
looks
it's good.
terrible.
It's good. Yeah. Like I've told people, forget the cover art. It looks awful. You're going to think it's a Krampus ripoff. It's not. Give it a shot. You'll dig it. I promise. So, really, really well done. And of course, I recently got my hands on the Vinegar Syndrome Jack Frost with this awesome particular car. And this movie's just so crazy and fun too. You just can't. I just love this movie. So,
how's the transfer?
Pretty good. It's 2K, and it's not like I mean, they shot it very low budget, but they really cleaned it up. Like if you saw the DVD or the VHS version of it, it was very kind of dirty looking. Like there was a lot of cracks and like hairs and stuff. They cleaned it up really well. They did a really good job. Really good job with the transfer.
The Shannon Elizabeth shower scene in 1080p.
2K 1080p. There you go. But yeah, that's a good addition. Bunch of other stuff. Doing the holiday horrors thing. And I wanted to make a big announcement tonight for everybody. I want to announce it here first on the Sausage Factory. Tomorrow on my website, since it is the holiday season, I'm posting an exclusive interview that I conducted with the Eric Freeman from Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2.
That's awesome.
40 plus minute interview with Eric Freeman of Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. We talked about everything Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 related, his performance, how they directed him to perform, the whole Finding Freeman movement, how his status is like an icon now, the whole Garbage Day becoming a meme, a viral video, a t-shirt, It's a really, really fun interview with Eric Freeman. That'll be on my website tomorrow, pizzout.com. You guys definitely want to check that out. It's really cool.
Now, is it a video interview? Because, without the eyebrows.
You can hear the eyebrows.
You can hear the eyebrows. No, it was conducted over the phone. Let me tell you what happened. Eric Freeman is selling, he was selling Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 autographed posters on eBay. I jumped on there, I bought one, and if you messaged him, he would write whatever you want him to write on the poster. So I messaged him, and I was like, hey, man, because he had left a comment on my Fright Rags Garbage Day t-shirt unpackaging video. And I was like, man, I'd love to interview you, blah, blah, blah. He never responded. So when I messaged him and I told him what I wanted him to write on my poster, I said, man, we got to do this interview. And, I was the guy that did that shirt unpackaging. He was like, not only did he remember that shirt unpackaging, but he goes, after I saw that, I went out and bought my own. So Fright Rags, you owe me one, Fright Rag.
No, they should have given him one. Come on.
Yeah, really, they should have, totally. But he was like, I'd love to do the interview. He goes, here's my phone number. Give me a call. So I went into it totally unprepared. I had nothing written down. Just 40-minute conversation with him over the phone about Silent Night, Deadly Night 2.
Wow.
Cool.
That's awesome.
So that will be up tomorrow on my website, pizzout.com. You guys don't want to miss that. That'll be a lot of fun.
Now, did he ever try to distance himself from that film, or has he just now started to embrace it? Or
no, he he was like totally off the grid for many, many years. People were looking for him. There was this movement called Finding Freeman, where like people were just cold calling every Eric Freeman in the phone book. They were scouring the internet looking for the guy. He was totally off the grid. He talks about in my interview with him, where he was and how he discovered the whole thing, and how really, he's really embraced it. You know what I mean? Like he thinks it's really cool, and he's like, it's a little embarrassing. He's like, but it's awesome. So but yeah,
cool.
It's really cool. It's really cool. So, and Cameron's joined us. How you doing, Cameron?
Doing great. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we're doing good.
Yep.
We've not started the movie yet. I was telling everybody about my interview with Eric Freeman. It's going to be on my website tomorrow.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah. And yes, how have you been, Cameron? Have you seen any good movies lately?
No, I am wearing a Star Wars shirt, but I haven't seen the Rogue One yet. Although I do know that almost half of the images from the trailers are not in the movie, which always pisses me off. Half of them.
Well, there's a shocker.
Yeah. Even that epic shot we see of that girl going down the on the platform, and the TIE fighter comes up, and it looks like she's gonna like fight Darth Vader. Not in the movie.
Oh, that sucks.
I haven't even seen a trailer for it yet. I've avoided everything.
I don't know. I feel like if you are selling the movie with like that many shots that are not in the movie, then I think, I don't know, that's like false advertising.
Yeah, that's not a good sign. And you know, speaking of, we're getting ready to do Black Christmas. That's how they did the Black Christmas remake trailer. Was like that entire trailer was made up of shots that weren't even in the movie.
Right.
This year we had Suicide Squad that was probably the worst offender so far.
Well, yeah, I mean that's true, but I mean that stuff was probably stuff that they'd intended to put in the movie that they just cut out. I don't know. It's like the early reviews are out. I've not read any or seen any, but from what I hear, people are really liking it. So,
oh yeah. Me myself, I'm upset that the movie is for the last year isn't the one I'm going to see. It's like, all right.
Well, I'm holding off on any kind of reviews until I see it next week. I've been thinking about it, and I guess I kind of understand The Force Awakens. It's a reboot for the modern times. Okay, it's like A New Hope as if it were made last year. Of course, that movie wasn't made for me. A New Hope was made for me. It doesn't mean I have to like it. I guess I just have to understand that this is a rebooted Star Wars for now. And there's going to be, movies are often of their time. So there's going to be a lot of things of this era in the new films, and a lot of those, maybe some of those things I'm not really a fan of, but that's just kind of how it goes. So I'm trying to go into Rogue One, with as positive as possible, and understanding there's going to be some things in there I'm probably not going to like, but
this isn't.
At least we know the sequel is going to kick ass.
Yeah, you're not going to have to worry about this one compared to Force Awakens because, this one, they said from the very beginning, there's a reason why it's called Star Wars, and this is going to be what they say is like the Saving Private Ryan of Star Wars movies. There's no Jedis; it's just all ground combat, and that's something we've never seen before. But what I love though is that when people, I saw this online, to me laughed so loud. They said Force Awakens was so much like Star Wars. I didn't like it. And people are saying Rogue One is so much like the original Star Wars. I love it. It's like fanboys just don't know which way to go.
Well, The Force Awakens there was a lot of stuff in there I didn't like. And it was a retread of A New Hope. And I didn't like the villain. There's just so many things that I didn't like about Force Awakens that makes me kind of meh on it. But I understand if people like it, that's fine. Like what you want to like. I don't care.
My only qualm with The Force Awakens was that I wish Kylo Ren was more emo.
To me that was like
Kylo Ren.
to me that was like definitely a staple of this time because he reminded me of like the Columbine kids. It's just all bravado, but he's just an idiot. Yeah.
Now, Part 7 put a lot on Part 8 because Part 8 has a lot of explaining to do. Like, how did this happen? Where did that come from? Who is this person? What? Why? What? So Part 8 better be amazing.
If the rumors are true, not a Skywalker, but a Kenobi, that explains why in that vision she has, we hear Ewan McGregor and Alec Guinness say, "Rey, these are your first steps," and that's maybe why she was training with Luke and got sent away. Because she wasn't, she's not like some new hotshot pilot that can fly the Millennium Falcon. This is a girl that is now remembering her training that got wiped out.
Like I said, lots of explaining to do.
Exactly.
It's true. This is true. Yeah. I don't know. I'm looking forward to Rogue One. I'm looking forward to Episode 8.
But they're going to marvel it now. There's going to be so much Star Wars. It's going to be like, Christmas. Another one?
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, maybe after they do, Rogue One, then Episode 8, then they'll do whatever that other standalone one is. Then they'll wrap up the Han Solo movie. Then they'll wrap up, this new trilogy, maybe they'll let it sit for a few years and then do your Obi-Wan Kenobi movie
or your nightmare is going to come true, Mike, and they'll do 2 a year, one in May and one December. Like Marvel does 3 a year.
Yeah, I hope not paying to see them. They're going to do that.
Well, that was my biggest fear, was that they were going to Marvel it, and then we'd be like, oh, another Star Wars movie, God. And I don't want to see Star Wars go down that path, because at this point I'm kind of like, oh, another comic book movie, okay, God, okay.
I mean, they've got competent people directing, competent writers. I don't really think they're going to make a terrible movie. I've got confidence in them to.
Well, even
they're going to be better than the prequels. I don't care what anybody says. No matter what they shit out, they'll be better than the prequels.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they got to be. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, even like even the Marvel movies, they're still good. They're still making good Marvel movies, but it's just like they're just totally oversaturated the market. They're just everywhere. It's just. Here's another one. Here's, we can't just do an Avengers movie. Every Avenger has to have their own series, and then that's going to break fatigue. Exactly, brand fatigue. Exactly.
Just too much. It's like
I don't want to hurt John Avenger's feelings because I know he may be watching right now, but yeah, it's too much for me, man.
You know what's going to happen is when the trend dies, and it will die eventually. The last gasp you'll know is because they'll announce Avengers versus Justice League, and that'll be it. That'll be the end.
Justice League wishes they would do that movie.
Well, let's go ahead and everybody out there who wants to watch Black Christmas along with us, leave questions, comments for us in the comment section of the video. Orc is in the comment section hanging out. Everybody say hi to Orc. Hope him a very speedy recovery and a happy holidays. Jay the Stingray is going to be hanging out in the comment section. He's a moderator. He's a mod. He's known on the forums. And while everybody is getting that together, I'm going to set mine up. And Mike, do you have any words of wisdom you want to share with us while we get everything ready?
Well, the holidays are a tough time for some people. It's very depressing, and those who are prone to depression have a really hard time. Just don't ever think that nobody cares about you. It's not true. And this goes back to one of my original ones. Don't let other people's opinion of you be your opinion of you. You are worth something no matter what anybody might say. And just don't let that become your opinion. There's plenty of help out there for those who are reaching out. You have the suicide prevention hotline, and just a Google search, you can find some help. So just don't give up. It's worth it. Stick around and have a good time.
Absolutely.
There's always a new Star Wars movie every Christmas.
and well, that could be part of the depression. So, just ignore it. Pretend it doesn't exist. Especially with their new themes. Ugh.
Well, we're gonna get
always be worse.
Yeah,
SJW Wars.
We could have 4 more Fast and Furious movies.
You could be watching Steven Seagal direct video movies.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
Hilarious.
Seagal would make a great either Sith or Jedi. That'd be awesome.
He would eat the Sith and Jedi.
he could play Jabba in the next movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Perfect casting.
Are we ready to get the show on the road? Are we ready to have a Black Christmas?
Yes.
Ready to go.
Let's do it Bob Clark style.
Let me remind everybody, if you want to watch along with us, we're getting ready to, everybody's got theirs set up at 0.00 at the very beginning, pre-credits, so we'll all be on the same page. Leave questions, comments for us in the comment section of the video. Tweet at us at TSF Nation. And, so let's get the show on the road.
And remember, this is the original jaundice-free edition.
Exactly. All right, guys, let's count down in 3, 2, 1. Let's do it. And mind those volumes.
You guys seeing film funding?
Yep.
You know what's funny is that I think his film that he made a decade later, Christmas Story, also begins with a shot of the house with the opening credits. So kind of it's
does.
sort of like is a companion piece.
And,
It's like this same angle too, because the kids run out the side.
But how did Bob Clark really do this? Because he's got, the star of Romeo and Juliet, the star of 2001 in this movie. Obviously there's other names that later became known, but that's a pretty big, lineup for a early 70s horror movie, independent horror film.
The Juliet chick did it because she had never done a horror film, and they were pretty high profile, and her agent talked her into it, so she thought it'd be interesting.
And she's been doing horror films ever since with Psycho 4 and It.
See, what year was Superman?
78.
So that was okay. That was after.
This was even for Sisters that Margot Kidder did.
That's a great movie too.
Yeah. And also Lorraine Newman is in this movie, who later went a year later. This kind of reminds me of Brian De Palma borrowing this for Blowout.
yeah, totally. Speaking of that, you mentioned the De Palma documentary last week, Stingray. I watched that on Amazon Prime just the other day. It was really good.
Good.
That's a really good movie. The only problem I had with it is in the last 5 minutes, they detailed the last 16 years of his career. It's like, I want to know about these other movies.
I like the stuff they were talking about on with Penn and Fox, Michael J. Fox and Sean Penn on Catch Leaders of War.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
I didn't know that they had released a DVD of his extended cut, so I ended up buying that.
Well, Penn did a similar thing. Not to turn this into a Sean Penn retrospective, but that's actually Bob Clark's face there doing the profile for Billy there.
That's cool.
But on the set of At Close Range, the scene where he's got the gun pointed at Christopher Walken, right in his face.
Yeah.
Christopher Walken just wasn't getting it, and they kept doing it over and over again. So Sean Penn goes, "Okay, let me go get the real gun." So he runs off stage, comes back with another gun, and they go action, and he pushes the gun into his face, and that's how they got that reaction.
Wow.
Yeah.
That dude's an asshole, right? I mean,
he gets the performances though. He gets the performances out of you.
Jeff Spicoli is not a performance. That's method acting at its finest.
If you want to hear something really funny, research how Sean Penn got that interview with that drug lord in South America, whatever his name was.
Chapo.
Research how he got that interview. It's so funny, and it shows how how brainless he is.
The movie critic.
What was that, Cameron?
No, it was not Gene Shalit. No.
This is Margot Kidder she had a mental breakdown, I think, in the 90s.
She did.
Yeah.
She did.
did she pull her teeth out or something like that?
I don't know. I mean, she had her teeth in Halloween too, so the Rob Zombie one. But this is hard. I mean, how do you climb through a house with a wide angle lens like this?
And this was before Steadicam, so this was they just literally strapped the camera on this dude. So I mean, that could not have been
really well.
Yeah, it could not have been easy.
Now,
camera operators never get their due.
No, was this a set or was this filmed in a real house?
This was a real house. The house still exists. It looks almost exactly the same too.
So then you have to shoot around an existing location that's not built for shooting, which makes it even more complicated.
However, if you go with the Robert Rodriguez school of filmmaking, which is don't write a script and then find the house and then write your script around that house.
That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
No, I met Margot Kidder a few years ago. She's a very nice lady.
Yeah, I met her in 2009 or something like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was dumb. I didn't take anything for her to sign, so she didn't have anything Black Christmas then. So I had her sign some picture of Superman. I was just like that.
I got my Amityville Horror lobby card signed.
if you go back and re-watch that first Superman movie, you really forget how well she and Christopher, they just really played off each other. I mean, their chemistry is what helped make that movie. But
Now, I'd heard that, I don't know if it was her part or if it was the, crap, I forget the actress's name, but she was in the Black Christmas remake as the house mother. I think,
Carrie Fisher.
yeah, it was her.
No, it's Shorty Rowe.
It was between her and Gilda Radner to get the part. Have you guys heard that?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense, though.
Yeah, I don't think Gilda Radner would have worked.
That guy's fur coat reminds me of Vin Diesel in Triple X. I love these early scenes. To me, this is like, I know it came a few years later, but these early scenes, as well as like the early scenes in like When a Stranger Calls, there's something just so amazing about just shooting in a real location with a camera, just simple shots, and yet it's really scary and effective because it just feels like anywhere, you just know this is happening down the street.
Yeah.
Well, this movie does share story elements with the one you mentioned, because it's the old woman in the house with the man upstairs, boo scare type thing.
Yeah.
The call is coming from inside the house.
Yeah.
Are those hands like grabbing her boobs on the sweater?
Pretty much, yeah.
First time I ever noticed that.
I bet they are.
Well, and what's great about this is like it's very charactery, and it's giving you like an impression of who each character is without beating you over the head about it. And it doesn't. It's happening so effortlessly that it's almost like you're not going, okay, here's the character stuff. Let's get this over with.
Right.
It's happening very sort of organically.
Right. Go ahead.
I was going to say that I think the one thing that really shocked me the most about this film is it was 1974, and the language that the killer uses on the phone is very extreme for that time period. So
And now.
Well, I guess more so now since well, never mind.
And keep in mind the phone calls for the remake weren't nearly as graphic as the phone calls here.
Yeah, isn't it sad that you could do more in 74 than you can do now? I guess.
Yeah.
Progression's turned into regression in a way.
Well,
So
but see, the remake is 10 times more graphic and violent, but this one just has,
Sorry, I've got the subtitles on. It's cracking me up.
I mean, these opening scenes to me are scarier than anything in the remake. And it's not trying to take away anything from the remake. It's just there's something about suggestion, and I know we love blood, splatter, and gore, but sometimes the suggestion is more powerful. And these girls, I love the fact that, like you were saying, Piz, these girls are just like girls in a sorority house, and we kind of get to know them. Whereas today's movies, one's got to be like it's got to be like the Breakfast Club, the brain, the jock, everyone's got to be their own representation, and this is just existing as representation.
Jay, I was going to ask you, how's that transfer looking so far?
Looks really good. Looks really good.
I still don't have mine.
You're being punished for not being a Prime member.
I know.
Is there like zero grain whatsoever? Because I'm seeing a lot of grain in mine.
There's grain, but it's, from what I remember, it's better than the previous transfer.
Yeah, I
There
didn't
was a
get.
message. Sorry.
I didn't get my Scream Factory Black Christmas, but Amazon did send me the Kino disc of Moving Violations from 1985. So thank you, Amazon.
Nice.
There was a message that came on right before the movie started that was talking about the transfer. I didn't look right at it, so I'll go back and see what that said before, but something about the 2K scan from the original negative. I'm not sure exactly what it said.
Margot Kidder is like drinking and smoking through this whole opening.
She just showed up.
and,
That's her.
Let's say she has a collar.
Today,
or
talk
whatever that is, right?
Yeah, I mean, talk about regression. If a character smokes today in a movie, it's automatically rated R.
Automatic
for drug use.
No.
Yeah.
And this,
Well, and this movie does an excellent job of balancing. Like it's incredibly dark because they're talking about abortion, and they're talking about stuff like that. but there's such a great sense of humor in the film as well from Margot Kidder and from the house mother here. So this movie does an excellent job of towing that line, that balance between being very, very dark and having a good sense of humor.
Yeah, I got to think it was definitely pushing the envelope with the way some of these women act.
Absolutely, yes. As far as being sort of, sexually open, and of course the whole thing of, being pregnant and wanting to have an abortion. I mean, again, this was 1974. I mean, it had to be pretty shocking, I would think.
It's right after Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
And what's a few weeks ago we talked about those persisting rumors that have been going around about how Bob Clark and John Carpenter had discussions about what a sequel to Black Christmas would be like. And you look at these opening scenes. This is Halloween. I mean, you could see that Halloween would be, or a version of Halloween would be a sequel to Black Christmas, because the girls like Laurie, Annie, those girls.
Well, I heard a story where Bob supposedly told John that he would call it Halloween and put it on Halloween night. That would be his sequel to Black Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we've all heard that story.
Yep. And John's like, hey, good idea.
Yeah, I mean...
What was Bob Clark ever paid?
I would guess not.
Yeah, probably not.
That's
I don't
why
know,
he's still held a grudge like 30 years later.
Now I think in the Dead Pit interview with John Carpenter, they mentioned it to him, and Carpenter acknowledged that he had written a script that Bob Clark was going to direct, and that he was a fan of Bob Clark and that he'd seen Black Christmas, but he didn't recall having any specific conversations with him about anything Halloween related or Black Christmas 2 related. So
Of course not.
but I would think, John Carpenter is pretty transparent. He's the kind of guy. I mean, he gives 0 Fs. You know what I mean? Like, if he really ripped it off, I could imagine just being like, what the hell? I ripped it off. Who cares?
Except when it comes to money, and Bob Clark has an estate.
That's true.
Yeah.
See, that's the wiseness of the professor coming through right there.
Yeah, I don't know.
John,
Maybe if he made a statement like that, they may try to, come at him.
Exactly.
Didn't John Carpenter just get like close to $20 million because of that Guy Pearce movie that ripped off Escape from New York, and he sued the Luc Besson's company and got like $20 million for it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, he periodically sues like Anchor Bay and the Trancas people for money that he thinks is owed to him from Halloween royalties and stuff.
There was Black Christmas. I know it's a movie people look at favorably. I don't have the numbers in front of me. Did this do well?
It did well in Canada.
Okay.
It didn't do well. I don't think it did very well in America, but it did well in Canada.
Okay.
Did it get a wide release?
That's a good question.
It may not have gotten a very wide release, is why it didn't do very well.
This seems like a drive-in movie to me out in the States,
Yeah. Well, I love the fact that this woman's just got booze hidden everywhere around the house.
Yeah. Well, it's like Chris Rock says, if you want to save all your money and precious items, put it in the books in your library, because no criminal is going to go through your library looking for money and booze.
Hide it in the books.
Yeah.
Oh,
I miss these phones.
So did you all grow up with the movie, or?
It was difficult for me to track down. Like, I kept hearing about it online, everybody loving it, yada yada yada, but it was hard for me to track down until I want to say, gosh, I don't remember how I first saw it, if it was on VHS or not. I want to say it was on VHS, and it was some kind of Amazon exclusive VHS release kind of thing. I want to say that. I'm not 100% sure. But I know it was more difficult for me to track down than some other movies.
And I believe this was like one of those like big boxes at the video store. It wasn't like a little box like Black. It was like big clamshell type of things.
I may have actually rented this from a Blockbuster. I don't remember. I don't remember. I really don't remember.
Yeah, I think it was at least the 90s before I was able to watch it for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when I was.
This is, this is one of those movies where you are kind of like researching something else, and then this title comes up. Like, I don't know, like, talking about Halloween, or you're researching Bob Clark movies, and you're like, oh, I've never seen this one. And then you check it out, and you're like, wow, why isn't anybody talking about this? And then you end up showing it to everybody, and then 20 years later, Scream Factory releases it on Blu-ray, so.
Totally.
Oh, you're like, holy shit, when you put the lines together that Bob Clark directed this and A Christmas Story.
I know. Yeah.
Really, it's mind-blowing.
It is, absolutely. It is.
And then you throw Porky's in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then other things like, was it Don't Torture a Duckling? Did you do that one? No. What's that?
Got her crack pipe
what's
in
that?
the toilet. I know.
Don't Play with Dead Things, right? And Murder by
Children play with dead things. Murdered by the Creek. Yeah.
That's a good movie.
I mean, he was a pretty big horror genre director before he, did other things. So.
Yeah. And I mean, I've
Didn't
said
he
it
do
before.
those Baby Geniuses movies too?
Yep. Yes, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Both of them.
Yep. I mean, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I mean, I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves for. I mean, just for Black Christmas and A Christmas Story, the total opposite ends of the genre spectrum that they are both on, and they're holiday classics. A horror classic and
Yeah.
I love
And
it.
Rhinestone.
This is an iconic shot. Iconic.
I love it.
yes, yep.
Man, she did a good job of staying still.
She did.
Yeah, they're not pausing it. That's moving.
She actually died.
She passed away. Yeah.
Just look how long she's going without breathing.
It's dedication, man. That's dedication.
Apparently, the actress had kind of a tough time with that scene because the bag was real.
Yeah,
I imagine it would be panic-inducing.
I can imagine.
I was the Mangoria show the year before he died. He reminds me a lot of like Stuart Gordon, just like your grandpa. Everybody. He was so nice to everybody, and you could talk to him for hours if you wanted to. So so when he passed away, it was one of the. I mean, every death is sad to me, but that was one where it was like, oh, really? Because honestly, I thought there was gonna be like a comeback. Like the way Romero did. I thought he would come back and do some more films in the genre.
Wait, he was going to do a remake, right, of one of his movies? Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, I think he was going to remake.
Is that right?
Thought that was the rumor of it, yeah. He was getting ready to do that.
He wasn't going to direct the remake of Black Christmas, right? He was just producing it.
Yeah, he was just producing it. Yeah, that one hit me pretty hard when I heard that he passed away. The way that he passed away was
Yeah. Well, considering that him and his son both died at the same time.
exactly.
That
Yeah,
was a car accident, wasn't it?
to a drunk driver. To a drunk driver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the same way Sam Kinison got killed, and it was right after he completed rehab and had sobered up. Ironically, he was killed by a drunk driver.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting also about this movie is but a lot of 70s movies are just completely dated by imagery, hair, clothes, whatever. This is one of those movies that even though it's the 70s, because it's not so dated, it is, but it's kind of timeless too.
Well, I know. I look at some of those Christmas decorations, and I flash back to my childhood. I'm like, we had one of those and one of those.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard a lot of rumors.
I didn't have that.
I've heard a lot of rumors about this movie too, as far as like this is one of Quentin Tarantino's favorite horror movies. But I hear that about every horror movie with Quentin Tarantino. Like, did you know this is his favorite horror movie? But see, I also heard too that this was Elvis Presley's maybe not favorite horror movie, but it was a yearly tradition where he made the entire family sit down and watch Black Christmas. And to this day, it is a Presley family tradition around the holidays to sit and watch Black Christmas together. Don't know if that's true. That's another one of those rumors, but.
That's cool.
Well, I'd rather watch Black Christmas than Bad Santa 2. So
Yeah.
Well, he was only alive for 3 more years after this thing came out, so it wasn't too long of a tradition.
Well, clearly not. Well, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
well, yeah.
Man, but he was rocking a copy on 35 millimeter though.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you know it. Sitting eating his peanut butter and banana sandwiches, watching Black Christmas with the family.
Crushing up some lewds.
Oh man, I wish they still made lewds.
Yeah, Leonardo made them look like a lot of fun.
It's true. That's true.
Let me ask you something. Do you think the Scream Factory Blu-ray of this is going to be a big seller, considering that the other, Black Christmas has been available on different Blu-ray editions for the last few years? Do you think the fans are going to rebuy this movie again?
I think it'll be a good seller simply because it's a Scream Factory collector's edition Blu-ray release.
And
But part of the reason why I didn't jump to buy it was because
Because what?
Sorry, you cut out a little bit, man.
the reason why I didn't jump to buy the Scream Factory one is because I've got all the other editions and the Season's Grievings Blu-ray too. So I mean, it's like I don't, I've already got, I don't need Black Christmas to turn into the new Evil Dead where I've got 800 different versions.
By the way, there's an article going around. Anybody should check it out about the showrunner for Ash vs. Evil Dead leaving the show and explaining what happened to the season 2 finale. It's
Oh, wow.
Didn't it have to do with one of the actors leaving the show or something?
No, it had to do. He's saying that Rob Tappert, the producer, is exerting control and won't let them do what they want to with Bruce Campbell's character, and so people left and got fired. So,
Well, you got to protect your property.
It's true.
I mean, in that case, Tappert was one of the original creators of the entire Evil Dead idea. So, if he's going to safeguard his property, I kind of have to be on his side. Although I don't know the side of the other people, if they had good ideas or not. But, if I were him, I would definitely be reluctant to let somebody else reinvent something that I created or had a part in.
yeah, take a look at the article, because it sounds like to me that he was overriding Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi, because all three of them have to agree, and so he was like overriding everybody apparently. So,
Interesting.
but I'll send you guys the article later, or post it in the comments.
I've seen what Raimi's capable when he kind of goes off the rails, and maybe it's kind of a good thing to pull him back every once in a while because he gets a little goofy. Yeah.
true.
And Bruce is Bruce. I mean,
It's true.
he's going to do whatever Sam wants to do because that's his buddy. So, of course, they're going to agree.
Speaking of those guys, I saw Don't Breathe for the first time the other night.
How'd you like
You
it?
guys had a chance to see that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah, I liked it. It had quite a bit of hype around it, but I did enjoy it.
I know that has nothing to do with each other, but for me, I always confuse Don't Breathe and Lights Out when I see it at the store, because it just sounds like the same movie, even though I know it's not. But
Yeah, it's
I saw Lights Out. It was decent. It
really
wasn't great.
It seems like everything these days.
Well, Conjuring 2 was great. I can definitely say that was great.
Yeah.
There's a few movies that came out this year that were great, but it's like I enjoyed Hardcore Henry a lot. I think that movie's great.
Yeah.
I wish, looking at Olivia Hussey right now, it makes me wish that she had done a 1970s Argento movie, because I think she would have looked good next to Jessica Harper.
I
Very
can't
attractive
remember.
lady.
I forget more shit than I've ever known sometimes. But didn't she like just give birth prior to this film? She had a son, and the abortion aspect of her character kind of messed with her a little bit. I think I read somewhere at some point. I might be
Oh,
wrong.
really?
Look at
That-
Mario
yeah.
Kidder.
I think that might be true.
Margot Kidder looks like she'd be a ton of fun, man. Lush, man. Just
I've
smoking and
partied with chicks
drinking.
like that before.
Well, and speaking of De Palma, that's very much a De Palma shot right there. With
Yeah,
the dad and
Yeah.
yeah, that's very much a De Palma shot there.
need a crane shot. Make it like
We need-
50 feet above them while they're talking.
we need like a continuous 20-minute just shot that just keeps going and going and going.
I love that stuff, though.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? This movie's 74. Chainsaw Massacre is 73 or 4, or is it both? I don't know. 74. 74. Yeah, you know, I'm thinking in between. Okay, then we had Godfather 2. I mean, 74, not a bad year for movies, apparently.
True.
It's my favorite decade.
Chainsaw, Jaws, Black Christmas. Yeah, it was a good year.
Wasn't Jaws 75?
It was shot in 74. It may have been released in 75.
Okay.
They were doing test screens in 74.
Yeah, but that movie took forever to make, so
Yeah, it's true.
I think it was intended to be 74.
Yeah, it's
Here's a great bit of comedy with the whole, FE. It's a new exchange.
And the actor who plays the cop, I can't forget. I've seen him in other stuff. I think he was in Pale Rider, Clint Eastwood Western.
I've seen him in other stuff, definitely.
Yeah, good actor.
So how much of this movie was Margot Kidder just riffing off the script?
Quite a bit, probably.
her ash fell off her cigarette right there.
It wasn't
That
fake
was
beer.
awesome.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it wasn't movie beer. It wasn't movie. It wasn't ginger ale. That's for sure.
They started shooting, probably the night shoot or day shoot. I don't know. She'd probably liquored up 3 hours into it.
Yeah, it's like in the movies. They instead of Jack Daniels, it's like apple juice. She's like, no, just keep it, Jack. Don't
Well-
waste the apple juice.
Well, look at this, like the door, right? You see just kind of like a kind of snowy light back there. It's kind of perfect because when you're doing an interior film primarily in there, you can close the doors, just put some bright lights outside to make it look like daytime, whatever that, and you can just shoot the movie day and night in this house. Not have to leave. It becomes kind of an easier shoot, because you're not having to worry about matching things.
You have total control over the light. That's one thing we learned is like a lot of times when you see light coming in through a window in a certain direction, it is actually a stage light that they've aimed a certain way, and they have the shade so they can get the exact reflection that they want. Pretty cool.
The more you know.
Which is why it's hard to shoot in an actual house, because it's not like they can just have rafters made of lights.
Right.
Because most studios don't have ceilings on their sets, so they can just do whatever they want.
Yeah.
That last angle made the cop look like David Crusoe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to think when you start hiding liquor, like in the tank of the toilet, you really need to start like,
You've got a problem.
considering some help.
Yeah, you've got a problem.
So is this your favorite Christmas horror movie to anyone out there?
Yeah, I would say yes. I would say yes. It's my favorite.
Mine's still, I think, Gremlins.
It's my favorite well-made, serious Christian Christmas movie. Silent Night, Deadly Night, and all that kind of stuff. I love those movies too, but they're not quite the quality of this one.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it sounds, from Piz's latest review, it sounds like you turned totally around on Silent Night.
I did turn around. Well,
You even made me want to dig out my copy that I've never watched and give it a. I haven't watched it yet, but I will now.
well, it's you really can't even call it a remake. I mean, it's really got it steals like it steals 2 kills from that movie. I don't know how you can call it a remake.
Reimagining.
Reimagining.
I don't think you can even call it that. I mean, it's its own it's its own thing. It's its own thing.
It just cracked me up just watching you on that video talk about the 180 you're about to do on it.
Yeah. I hated the first time. I don't know what it was. If I was not in the right mood, or if I thought this was going to be I don't know. It rubbed me the wrong way. Everything about it rubbed me the wrong way.
I do that a lot. I think it may be the mood I'm in when I watch the movie may influence how much I enjoy it sometimes.
I knew it wasn't gonna, like, I think I went into it expecting it to be a Silent Night Deadly Night remake, so I was already had like a bad taste in my mouth. But then, like, like all the jokey over the top stuff just really didn't sit right with me, and I don't know. Second time around though, I recognized a lot of the things I didn't like about it and why I didn't like it about it then, but they didn't bother me now, and I just had fun with it. So
Santa breaks out a blowtorch. It starts to get real.
yeah, how can you not like a movie where Santa kills people with a blowtorch?
I don't like that movie, but
I've never seen
that
it.
scene, that's a good scene. But
It's been one I've almost watched a few times, but yeah, it's just they remade that.
Here's my upcoming Christmas watch. Of course, don't open till Christmas. Gotta watch that.
That's what I was
Gotta
watching.
watch it. Of course, the Silent Night, Deadly Night double feature.
Oh
1
yeah,
and 2. Gotta watch
yeah.
that.
oh yeah.
And as I stated, Silent Night is on there.
Okay.
And I don't know. I might try to do it. Maybe even after this. I don't know. I'm gonna try and give the remake another spin.
Too.
I don't know.
It's interesting. The remake is so hard to find on Blu-ray because they only made like a couple, like 25 of them or something like that. Because you can't find it anywhere.
Yeah.
Why would you want to?
Well, that one too. Every time I see that movie, there's something about it. There's just an energy about that movie that I like. I like the look of it. I like the feel of it. It's got a nice energy about it. I just can't get past the Billy backstory, the inclusion of Agnes. I can't. I don't know.
That's what does it for me is Agnes and the Billy backstory. Just other than that, it's made by the same people that made Final Destination.
Yeah.
Glenn Morgan, I think.
Yeah.
Who also did worked on X-Files, I think, in the 90s and some
Right.
Space Above and Beyond.
Yeah.
He's done some good stuff. So I'm not crapping on him. Some of his story ideas I'm just not crazy about. But
Did we-
as far as the cast is good. It looks good. Like Pizal said, there's energy to it. It's just Agnes and Billy. It's just really...
Yeah.
Did-
If they'd handled that differently, I think it would be great.
Yeah.
I just can't get. I just can't. I don't know. Even thinking about it, I'm just like, oh God.
Were you guys just surprised that almost like 10 minutes of Nightmare on Elm Street was just spliced into this movie?
what do you mean?
What was that?
Because I made a joke because John Saxon showed up as the neighborhood cop. So.
Oh, okay.
Well, the sax,
'Cause it
you
look-
know.
Yeah, well, yeah. As Quentin Tarantino says, it's not a real horror film until John Saxon shows up 30 minutes in as a cop.
Yeah, that's true.
Was Margot Kidder looking at a Playboy a second ago?
He was. He was
Probably.
like a Playboy. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would like to be in this place.
She's wasted. Give it a Playboy.
Do you
She-
think?
she's a fun girl. She's a fun girl.
This would be
you
a
think-
fun
Do you think
fun
Bob
place to hang
Clark?
out.
Do you think Bob Clark kept her around on set, or do you think he just shot her out in one weekend and said, "Get out of here, Margot"?
That's a good question. If only he were still with us, we could ask him that.
Yeah. Imagine if he was on this commentary with us.
That would be great.
How glorious! How glorious!
I'd be asking him about Rhinestone. Drunkenstein.
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 Well, let me just ask you: if you guys were filming this movie, would you keep Margot Kidder around the entire shoot,
Yep.
or
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
You already know the answer to that.
Comedic relief, you know?
Oh yeah.
If I had to be honest, I've probably only seen this film once or twice before this.
Really?
Yeah, this was film I didn't grow up with. I just got the DVD because I heard a lot about it, but just one of those films I never really grew up with. Kind of like a Christmas Story, just never really. I've only seen Christmas Story like once. Just films I never grew up with. I think
What
just
are-
because there was other slasher films I grew up with, like Elm Street or My Bloody Valentine or some other stuff. It just-
What are some of your favorite holiday horror movies?
Gremlins is a good one. Jack Frost is pretty funny. There's one I would like to see. It's a foreign movie from '89. It's never been released in the U.S. called Game Over. It also has another weird title. It's pretty much Home Alone if it was a horror movie, because it's a Santa guy dressed up as a Santa Claus who comes in and like kills his dog and is trying to kill his grandpa who's an invalid, and the kid has to gear up and protect his grandfather. It's like a kind of like a Home Alone type of way, but it was made before, and it's more of a horror film. And it's a foreign movie, and it was like a weird title, like 3615 Pierre Noel, like, but in the U.S. it'd be Game Over, and that's what I would like to see. But if I could find someone with subtitles, but it's few and far between. It might be
French movie.
Yeah,
Add it
and
to my list.
I mean, I've never been able to see it because I couldn't find it with subtitles. But I don't know. This just when they do Christmas horror, a lot of times it could be just abysmal. Silent Night, Deadly Night 3 or 4 or whatever the fuck, 5, Toy Maker.
Yeah, I tried.
Pinocchio.
Yeah, I tried rewatching those for the first time in years, and they were not easy to sit through.
Like, whenever I get ready to pull the trigger on Amazon to buy it, because they've got like the 3-pack
Yeah.
of 3, 4, and 5, something stops me.
Of what series? What's the series?
Silent Night, Deadly Night 3, 4, and 5.
Oh yeah, no, I
haven't
got
seen them.
I got like a 4-pack that has Silent Night, Deadly Night 3 as one of them, and there's like 3 other movies that accompany in it. It's like $5 on Amazon.
I even remember liking part 5 for whatever reason, but I watched it again and I was just like,
Mickey
you know.
Rooney.
well, it's got the Mick in it. Actually, and the guy who directed that movie, he wrote like Friday the 13th Part 3. He co-wrote Friday the 13th Part 5. He's got a couple other horror movies under his belt too. So
If you double featured that with Babe Pig in the City, it'd be awesome with Mickey Rooney.
What about Christmas Evil?
Oh yeah, I like Christmas Evil. Oh yeah, I like it.
That was interesting. It's sort of like Taxi Driver type of feeling they were going with.
Yeah. And
I never
that,
thought about that, but it is.
that guy is Fiona Apple's dad.
Man, yeah. It blows my mind every time I hear it.
Gee, I really like that, but that's a really interesting movie. Really interesting movie.
There's gonna be a big horror movie opening next year when Amy Schumer plays Barbie.
Did anyone ever see? I think it's directed by the guy who starred in Last House on the Left. It was called To All a Good Night.
Oh yeah, I did a review of that last week.
Oh,
Yeah. It's not very good. It's kind of entertaining. It's just not very good.
To All a Good Night?
Yeah.
I want to say I've seen it, but no, I have to double check.
One thing I do love about Black Christmas, though, and what I like about a lot of these kinds of horror movies set in the winter or around Christmas, is that it has that look to it that it just looks absolutely frigid and cold, and that sort of gives the movie this sort of isolated sense, you know. Something about it, just I love it. I love that feel, the cold, and when you know that juxtaposition of Christmas time with dark horror. I'm all about that.
Yeah, I mean, even with Halloween, just the fact that it feels like the fall, you know, it just
Exactly.
And I think that's the important thing is its story is great, but mood and atmosphere can take you further.
Yep. Absolutely.
well, let me ask: if this came out today, do you think people would have liked it, or do you think they just think it was too slow?
It's too slow.
So can you not make a movie like that nowadays, or just it's too slow?
It's called The Duke.
I don't know. That's a good question. Well, I mean, I saw a movie the other night called My Mother's Eyes which is very much slow, atmospheric, kind of like this. I mean, actually, not sort of, I guess, as far as being a slow, atmospheric movie. So they can still make them this way, but I mean, if it's going to be like a studio movie, I mean, they just be like, cut all this talking out and get to the killing, and why,
Blow
you
up
know,
some cars.
give the killer a backstory, and why don't you show the killer, and you know,
Get some
crap.
titties. Get some
Should there be a
titties.
Megathoid in there destroying something?
I mean, look at the remake of Last House on the Left. You know, I mean, it's like it's pretty decent. No, we got to send everyone else out with a head getting microwaved.
Yeah.
You know, you had to end with that last boom. Spoiler alert.
And the Transformers turn into dinosaurs.
Yeah.
They're fighting Nazis and King Arthur.
That actually does sound cool. That sounds cool. I could see how it made it that far. You know, I'm willing to bet if this guy would have just given these girls another few hours, they would have all died of alcohol poisoning.
That's true. At least Margot Kidder probably would have, yeah.
And Miss Havish, Havishish, whatever her name is.
I mean, I think the Black Christmas remake answers your question. If they made this movie today, it would be the Black Christmas remake. It would be all flash. It would be, we've got to have an extensive backstory for the killer. We've got to constantly show the killer. I'm even surprised that they got away with as much character development in that movie as they did. But I mean, that movie's not even 90 minutes long, so I mean, they had to have something.
But let's be honest here, Piz. If Black Christmas was just made today and there wasn't an original film, you wouldn't even have that character backstory, because the only reason why they even put it in there is because the original film existed. You know,
Exactly.
so if they didn't have to worry about a Billy, they would just create, you know, some other person. You know.
Yeah, totally.
I feel bad for the cameraman in this shot. I mean, he's just like having to swing around and hit everything.
Have you seen Tree Venge, Piz? The short?
No.
You may want to check that one out. It's by the guy, Jason Eisner.
Oh, okay. Cool. I almost watched the Star Wars Christmas special today on YouTube. I saw that it was uploaded on YouTube in its entirety, and I was like right there about to click it. I was like, nah.
You know, because then you'll go into depression and have to call Mike or one of those suicide hotlines.
It's your seasonal disorder kicking.
Yeah. Joseph Purdue tweets at us. He says, "Anybody heard the interview Dead Pitt did with Bob Clark?" I did. I remember it. I remember it being a very good interview with Bob Clark, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I've pretty much heard everything Dead Pitt's ever done. I mean, I found those guys on MySpace when they were doing MySpace Wednesdays. So yeah, I've heard pretty much everything they've ever done. It was great.
Just to go back a little bit, that guy had a killer mustache, man. It looked like he had a fro under his nose.
Hey man, it was the 70s.
The 70s, yeah.
God,
Mustache
it was-
ruled.
had to have been fake,
It
though.
was the decade of Bush.
That's what it looked like. He had that on his nose, up under his lip.
You know, people today don't understand what it was like to, you know, answer phone calls where you were stuck to the phone. You couldn't walk around the house. You know, you had to be stuck in the room with family listening to everything you were talking about.
And if you were expecting a phone call, you had to stay home and wait by the phone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Get off the line, Mom. God. On the phone.
God, when I was really little, we had a party line, so I'd pick up the phone to make a call, and it'd be somebody talking, and I just have to hang up and wait for them to be done.
Yeah.
Oh, I called party lines a lot back then. A lot. Forget that you heard that.
976 what, Piz?
No, I'm
Evil.
talking about you pick up your home phone and somebody else is talking because you're sharing a line with somebody else.
I understand. I took it down the dirty minded route. So
Would you call Madam Cleo?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. I called Madam Cleo and 976 Evil for my horoscope. So
The Freddy Krueger had a line. Like, I mean, pretty much everything had their own telephone number to call.
Everything.
Like
had a
1-900.
Yep.
Remember to get your parents' permission before you call.
Yep. $4.95 a minute. After that, it was 30.
I went. I remember one time. I don't know why I did this. I guess I was just an evil little kid. I was over at my friend's house one time, and I dialed the WCW 900 number. Like I remember it was 1-900-909-9900, and I just sit there and listen to Mean Gene talk to me about all the breaking news in professional wrestling for about a good 20 minutes or so. And I was at my friend's house the day they got the phone bill, and the mother just about lost her mind, and she was yelling at my friend, "Did you call this number? Blah blah blah." And I'm just sitting there going. So
Back during my drinking days, I did something like that. I was really drunk and I was watching TV, and a commercial for a psychic hotline came on. So I said, "What the hell? I'm going to call it, right?" So, normally those people try to keep you on the line because they want to make money. Well, she was trying to get me off the phone. That was a $200 phone bill, but it was totally worth it.
Call for your free reading, man.
R.I.P. Miss.
Yeah.
yes.
I set your prediction. I think you're drunk.
Like, sir,
I think some more alcohol is in your future.
it's like I see in your future a hangover.
And something to do with sausages. Wow, sausage.
Nailed
Yeah,
it.
nailed it.
No, okay, I know it's a weird question, but what's a holiday that they haven't made a horror film out of? That you think
St.
they
Patrick's
should?
Day? No, I guess they did Leprechaun.
I wish, Eli Roth has got all these like remakes in the work.
Yeah.
The only thing anybody wants to see Eli Roth do is Thanksgiving, and that's the one movie he won't do. He's like, yeah, I'll remake Death Wish. Nobody wants to see that. I'll remake. I think at one time he was going to remake Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. Nobody wants to see that.
You make Green Inferno or
Yeah.
Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah, I mean,
He could do Arbor Day and just have people planting trees in people's butts or something.
It's Arbor Day.
Rob Zombie pretty much shot his entire werewolf movie to the point where the Weinstein said, you're just shooting a trailer, right? And he shot like 2/3 of the movie. I wish that like Eli Roth had shot just Thanksgiving and just released it like on video, like a couple months later.
yeah. Like I mean, that seems like such an obvious thing, but he's like, no, I'm going to make this awful movie with Keanu Reeves. Nobody's going to see it. I'm going to make Green Inferno, which is going to sit on a shelf for 5 years. Yeah. Let's do all these remakes and
Death Wish with Bruce Willis.
Well,
He's
let's
a
just
modern master of horror. I
Yeah.
can't believe nobody's respecting his artistic visions.
Well, he's filling the shoes of Wes Craven right now.
let's be honest though.
I forgot about that.
If he had not become friends with Quentin Tarantino, his career would have been over after Cabin Fever, because people went to see Hostel because the ads all said from Quentin Tarantino. And so everyone went to see Hostel thinking it was Tarantino's new horror film.
Back when that meant something.
Best thing he ever did was the part of the Bear Jew.
that's true.
Which originally was supposed to be Adam Sandler, which I think would be even better.
That'd be interesting. That'd been interesting.
I like Cabin Fever. I mean, for what it is.
But they've already remade Cabin Fever.
They
Did he
did.
do that? Did he do the remake? It was
Yep.
on.
He produced it.
Okay.
He produces
I'm
the
not
remake.
watching that.
Which normally means he received a check and then said, do whatever you want to do.
Pretty much, yeah.
Which was exactly the same movie, shot for shot.
It was the same script. They used the same script from the original movie.
Nice.
Kind of like they did with that wonderful Psycho remake. Oh, that was beautiful.
I've got a VHS of that. I'm waiting to do some skeet shooting. I've got it.
Scream Factory is releasing a Blu-ray of it.
Oh, awesome.
Which that dumbfounds.
I've got Godzilla '98 and Psycho remake.
That would make more sense than Psycho remake. The fucking virus. The fuck.
That's right, Orc. Godzilla '98. Bitch.
That deserves 2 rounds.
You've triggered Orc.
See if he's watching.
He's in the chat. He's in the chat.
That's okay, Orc. I like the movie.
Is anybody in the chat saying anything interesting about the movie, or commenting just on what we're saying?
Orc's using homophobic language in the chat.
Orc, come on, man.
Don't be a cuck.
Oh my god. Yes, please don't.
I like it. The framing he shows that American flag is like front, right there on the edge. It's always in frame. So I'm assuming this takes place in America, not in Canada.
I think they wanted it to appear as if it took place in America. Yeah.
We'll drive that point home.
I don't think has the American flag on their desk.
I love this part here. What's FE? That's a new exchange. A new exchange.
FE.
Like a typewriter, no computer, just a typewriter.
Yeah.
Back when Saxon was rocking a full head of hair. Or maybe
Actually, it was a tube. He had like 3 or 4, and he would show up on set and say, "Which one do you want me to wear?"
Yeah. Yeah. Here's an idea. Why did they not make a movie with Saxon, Tom Atkins, and Charles Bronson in it?
Wow.
I mean, would that not have been the best movie ever?
They could have.
That would have been so good.
Yeah. To be produced by Canon Films.
Oh yeah.
Who else?
With Michael Winner directing it.
Exactly. Yes.
Or J. Lee Thompson.
Yep. True.
And this guy with his Prince Valiant haircut.
Yeah. He went right from Stanley Kubrick's movie to this movie, pretty much.
Yeah. Back-to-back classics. What do you got? Everybody, there's some contention online as to did the movie cheat in that the movie tried to pin everything on Keir Dulley's character, but then in the end, they do the twist and Billy's still alive, and people have claimed that the movie cheated and that they used him as like the silhouette for the character or for the killer, and so on and so forth. And so, Stingray, what I'm interested about your new scan is how bright that sequence is where Margot Kidder gets stabbed and you can see the killer. If they lighten that any in the new scan, if it is in fact him doing the stabbing, because he's got the same hair.
I mean, yeah, is it like Sleepaway Camp where you can actually see who it is?
Right, exactly. So that's what I'm interested about that new scan, if it reveals more.
I think I already know the answer, but I'll just double check.
Okay. It's going to pop up here shortly.
So they're saying it's a cheat.
Well, yeah, people have said that for a while, that they like used him for like the silhouette of the killer and to make the audience, to make you think that it is him, and then in the end they throw that twist at us and it's not, so on and so forth. But
Well, probably not more than Friday the 13th. It's a cheat. Because an old woman is like doing all this stuff, and you're like, she did it. She threw that woman out the window like she's a feather. It's like
Shot that bow and arrow.
60 years old.
I'll give the comic section something else to talk about. This is the Blu-ray cover for the new Henry set.
The what?
You're breaking up a little bit, Cameron.
You broke up a little bit there, Cameron.
Oh, what the hell is this cover? This is the official cover for Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer,
Yeah.
30th anniversary.
Yep.
That makes
saw
no
that.
sense.
I saw that. Yep. Not the best. Not
No.
the best cover. Who's
Mondo
releasing
cover.
that, by the way? Yeah. Who's?
Dark Sky Films.
Oh wow,
Okay. Okay.
I may have to pick that up.
I do like me some Henry. Has anybody seen the obscure sequel?
No.
I've never seen it. I know it has a Hispanic guy playing Henry though.
He's not Hispanic. I don't
He's
think.
not okay. Maybe I heard wrong.
Okay,
No,
okay, Donald Trump.
He's really short then.
It's not. It's not. It's actually not bad at all. I actually like it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. I've thought about doing it. Well, I think I may have actually shot a video for it, and then I just never uploaded it. But I actually like it. Actually like it.
So it's better than American Psycho 2?
Yeah, very much. Very much so. Yes.
Is it better than Stepfather 2?
Stepfather 2 is pretty entertaining. I don't know. They're very
Okay.
different.
How about Stepfather 3?
Oh, it's better than Stepfather. Henry 2 is very like dark and bleak, and I'd say even more so than the original. It's just like so, I don't know. Like you watch it, like after you watch it, you've just got to like take a shower because it's filmed in like just the most horrible looking area you could possibly think, and it's muddy and it's rainy and it's dirty and it's constantly overcast and it just looks like hell.
Stevie.
Yeah, but it totally works for the movie.
I talked to this guy the other day. He runs the official Poltergeist main website that has been around for years, and he was talking to me about he recorded 2 commentaries for Poltergeist 2 and Poltergeist 3 for the Scream Factory releases, and he was telling me it was a lot of fun because he got to record it over Skype at his house while just watching the movie.
Nice.
Yeah, so at least we know those 2 movies will have commentaries. So.
Yeah, they released the bonus features, what they're going to be
Oh, okay.
for those 2.
I didn't see that.
I think they like interview Robbie in the second one, and they say alternate ending for the third one, and a commentary with the writer producer in the third one, and some other stuff.
Well, I don't know. I might get those, but I'm not buying RoboCop 3 from Scream Factory.
Man, they're scraping the bottom of the barrel.
They're doing RoboCop 2 and 3.
If it's got a good making of on it with a nice interview with Fred Decker, maybe some Decker commentary, I might look into it. I don't know.
Yeah, Fred
wait
Decker
for the-
said he
wait.
did do a commentary. So.
Oh, that's cool.
All right, I'll wait for the sale.
I actually saw that in the theater, part 3.
Wow.
I'm sorry about that. Street Factory actually has sales. I thought they were always like $30 a piece.
Every now and again, they'll throw a sale at you. Every now and again.
Okay.
This was like $17 when everything was said and done. So I mean, that's not too bad.
No,
No,
It's not for a
bad at
new
all.
release. It's
Pretty
not
good.
too bad.
It's already. I saw today. It's
Okay.
back up to like $27 on Amazon.
Oh wow!
So, yeah.
Pre-order guarantee.
There you go.
Now,
Occasionally
Okay.
on Amazon, Scream Factory will have like a whole bundle for like $13, and that's when I stock up.
do you think this film needed a sequel? Because you guys mentioned there was talks of a sequel.
No,
No.
Okay.
I think this movie's a perfect standalone. I think the ending is perfect. It's chilling.
Although the cops are kind of idiots. They'll look too carefully.
Well, 2 years earlier, the cops were idiots and Last House on the Left, so we're on target. So
Well, I'm talking for 70s cops.
So you also have to understand this was 74 and technology was very limited, so there was only so much they could do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
there was no
I mean, they didn't even look in the attic, did they? I mean, they didn't do too much of a search of the house.
I guess
Yeah,
they
this movie-
figured. I guess they figured, okay, the guy's dead. This is our killer. Let's just.
Or
let's get out of
at
here.
least take her to the hospital. Don't just leave her in the house by herself.
Well, that's true.
Take her
That's-
to, take her to an ambulance. Like, take her to the hospital. Halloween 2 hospital or something.
That's understandable. Yeah, that's understandable.
Cops are always stupid in movies, though.
Yeah.
Well, they kind of have to be, or the movie would be over really quickly.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's-
they call the police, they
that's
come in and
the
do a complete search, they find Billy, movie over.
Exactly. Yeah.
20 minutes in,
He's jaundiced as fuck.
It's,
up there banging his sister guy.
This movie. So it's, don't look in the eye. Just give it all away.
See, okay, that's a good question that B movie made me think of. When you see stuff like that in movies where you're like, logically, this wouldn't make sense, are you willing to forgive it as long as it's entertaining? I mean, that's sort of what I do, and a lot of people do, but
Yeah,
is that something we take for granted, or?
It's like the suspension of disbelief. You know the movie is not reality. It's
Right.
surreal.
Yeah.
So you know reality rules do not apply to the film world. So you kind of have to let go of that. That's why some people, when they critique movies, and it's a little, well, you kind of, it's a given. You should expect those kind of things when you go in to watch a movie. Yeah. Well, that didn't make sense. How did you do this? How did you do that? Sometimes you just have to deal with it. I mean, yeah, when it comes to story and character moments, that's different. But in order for it to work, you kind of have to abandon reality.
Well, it's like when you watch Fast and Furious. I mean, are you sitting there looking at the laws of physics? I mean, you just have to accept it or don't watch it.
But that's something I constantly get into with my girlfriend when we're watching a horror movie, because she's like, no one would do that, no one would react that way, no one would act that way, and I'm like, honey, it's a horror movie. You know what I mean? You gotta check common sense at the door.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
You're using that inhaler wrong, by the way.
She's so drunk she doesn't know.
Well, I think as long as they're doing it well, either by atmosphere or just fun, if they're doing their job well, then you can do it. But if they're just pissing against the wind, then I don't give a shit. I make fun of you.
There's extremes too, where some movies, characters just do like the dumbest thing you can imagine. That's fun to laugh at and point out, but I mean, minor stuff,
Yeah.
As long as the writer is smart about it, but if they take advantage of it and treat you like you're stupid, then that's when it becomes insulting.
And a movie is not working if you're noticing the details like that.
Exactly.
Is there a movie you have an example of it not working? Like, this is just too stupid. This character's just too fucking dumb.
Well, you ever watch a movie with somebody that's like that? Like every 3 seconds, they're like, "Oh, that would never happen." Come on, give me a break. I mean, you got to suspend a little bit of disbelief, I mean,
my File 13, to all a good night, as a matter of fact. There's a lot of moments in that movie where characters are just doing some of the dumbest stuff you can imagine to put themselves in a position to get them killed. And you're just like, I'm just going like, oh my God, like, there's a killer on the loose, but you're like, let's go outside and go for a walk at night, in the middle of the night. Let's go for a walk. Come on. Or, hey, there's a killer on the loose. Let's go traipsing around this house in the middle of the night.
Split up.
Yeah, not even that. I mean, it's just like, I don't know. But that's a good example of one I saw recently where they're just doing like some of the dumbest stuff, and I'm just like shaking my head at. But it's funny because I mean, I can appreciate a good bad movie, but yeah, like most people, I think totally tune out at that point.
I think the worst is like when I would go see a movie with my mom and her friend when I was growing up, and we'd be in the movie theater and they would like forget about the movie and they would just talk about the decor and the houses and stuff. Like, look at that couch. Isn't that amazing? Where do you think she got that paint? All through Cape Fear. That's all they talked about.
Nice. Well, I love this sequence here. I think the way that it's edited with the kids caroling and her dying, just absolutely brilliant in slow motion. It's brilliant.
Was this the same time we were talking about the lighting?
Yeah. When he's on top of her stabbing her, you can like see his the outline of his head and some of his face. So I'm wondering how much they cleaned this up in the Blu-ray to how obvious how clear his face is.
Is that the same unicorn from Blade Runner?
Like,
oh wow, look at that.
Like, what does that look like there too, Stingray, on your new 2K scan?
Oh, you can absolutely see it.
Is it Keir delay?
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
is.
I was
It is
trying to
that guy?
find some shots. Yeah.
Well, what
I was actually
it
looking
Keir-
online
what-
for it. But there
Was it
is.
Keir Delay in the original Scream Factory box art? When they had it brightly lit and then they darkened it after
Well-
people complained about it.
Yeah, it's
I
dark
saw-
right there. But it was pretty obvious, like some of the shots, you could definitely tell.
Okay.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I saw that on this DVD that Jace showed that picture. I could see that.
Yeah. I remember that controversy. A lot of people, once they posted that, a lot of people in the comment section on Facebook were like, "Spoiler alert! Thanks for ruining the movie for me, Scream Factory." So
It's only like 40 years old or whatever.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Like
You
42
ruined
years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
Now, was this another thing like on Carpenter making Halloween? Did they film this movie during the winter season, or was this filmed in like summer and they had to?
This was during the winter, but there was no snow. All the snow on the ground is like fake something. It's not real snow.
Is it cotton?
I think some of it is, as a matter of fact. Yeah, it's like some kind of slushy stuff. Like you can, when they walk on it, you can kind of see it separating under their feet.
Sometimes they
It's
use
like-
instant potatoes.
Or foam, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me say this: some movies, HD is not come to.
Yeah,
You
that's
can
true.
see things.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Kind of makes me want to keep this copy and not bother with the new one.
Well, and what's funny too is like with the HD, like on the Madman Blu-ray, that movie in HD revealed that half the movie was shot out of focus. on like the DVD, you couldn't tell. The Blu-ray or the VHS, you couldn't tell. In HD,
Right.
you're like, why is that fuzzy? Oh, because they shot it out of focus.
Right.
Like there's even a couple of scenes on this that in HD, I'm like, oh, that's out of focus. I never noticed it on the DVD.
They'll never notice it's on VHS.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's like, yeah, HD is not, it shows a lot of the flaws, put it that way.
They're gonna
Well,
watch
I
it on their
remember when,
18-inch tube TV. They'll never know.
I remember when the original Chainsaw Massacre came out in that 4-disc Blu-ray. I remember thinking, I don't want it because I always loved that movie, kind of
Yeah.
grisly and nasty, kind of VHS DVD quality. And then you do see it on Blu-ray, and it's absolutely beautiful. But it's an entirely
I totally agree. Yep.
Yeah.
I was very reluctant to buy it on Blu-ray because of that.
Right.
But I got the Blu-ray and it looks fantastic.
That's one of my favorite Blu-rays. Still,
Yeah.
it looks so good.
Yeah.
I mean,
They did-
compared to
and
how
it's
it
too-
looked before.
Yeah.
but
they
it's
did
two
wonders.
it's two totally different
Yeah, that's
experiences.
true.
It's like you can say, well, which one do you want to watch? I don't necessarily always grab the Blu-ray, but
Yeah, I agree. The HD process sometimes removes some of the charm from those old classics because it's like you can see the effects. The practical effects aren't quite as effective when they're in HD because you can see, all the flaws.
Well, speaking of that, the new Phantasm transfer, I've heard that they've removed some of the wires from the ball.
Yeah, really.
and the
Okay.
ball is CG in a couple shots. Snow.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
See, I've not got my hands on that one yet.
I'm waiting for the box set.
It's Coscarelli had, said that it bothered him for a while, some of those shots. So it was something he really wanted to do,
Yeah.
which you got to be careful with that shit or you're going to wind up like George Lucas.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
It's interesting that Coscarelli went with Well Go USA as opposed to like another brand like Arrow or Scream Factory. Went with a very small company.
He probably got a larger cut that way.
You're probably right.
True. Yeah.
Well, this is all the J.J. Abrams push, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's why the character it's all silver because it was patterned after the ball.
Yeah. Captain Phasma. Yeah.
I know
Look
the
at that
sound-
clock above John Saxon. That's like the same clock in like every high school in America.
It's the one we used to try to break with the basketball.
I know this don't sound strange, but just weird watching these older movies, whether from 70s, 80s, or 90s. They just look like films to me. But then a movie nowadays, it looks, for some reason, it looks faker. I don't know what it is.
Shot on digital.
Yeah,
Digital, yeah.
yeah. But it just
I mean-
doesn't, it looks, weirdly enough, I know it's sharper, but it looks faker. It looks, even if it's just
I mean, look
a
at-
regular movie.
We were just talking about Phantasm. Look at all the criticisms about Phantasm Ravager. I mean, it's just people that it looks like a YouTube video, you know?
That's sad. A fan video or a fan movie.
I was
Yeah.
watching something about The Force Awakens the other day, and I was surprised at how many of those effects were practical, but then they went over them with CG, so they didn't, and I saw some, footage of them setting up the scenes, and the practicals looked really good, and they had no reason really to do as much CGI cover-up as they did, so it made them look like they were CGI. Because when I was watching that movie, I remember, where's all the practical? Where's all the practical? Well, it was there, but it was covered up. So what was the point of having the practical if you're just going to cover it up with CGI that makes it look fake? Or even more fake than the practical.
Well, and Peter Jackson did the same thing in the Hobbit films. He took out all the orcs and replaced them with CG, even though like the makeup was spot on, they were like it wasn't Lord of the Rings. I mean, that's why it looks all. I think the Hobbit films are just like the Star Wars prequels. It's too CG and too
Also,
long.
these older films, they have like natural color, while
Yeah.
movies nowadays, they're very artificial coloring of like.
Yeah.
It's like they shot it through an Instagram filter or something.
Right,
thing,
yeah.
One thing they had was a lot more variety of film stock. There were a lot more companies that made film back then than now because film isn't as widely used.
Right.
Wow. I almost think it's a generational thing because younger folks, they don't seem to mind at all,
Right.
because they've grown up with CGI, so it doesn't bother them as much as, I mean, it immediately takes me out of the movie, and not,
Yeah.
I'm not talking about stuff like Jurassic Park when they just, they accentuate the practical effects with CGI. That I'm totally cool with. I think that works the best. But when you have a fully CGI character on screen, it really takes me out of the film.
Yeah.
But not.
The thi-
It's
Go
not
ahead.
even. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, go ahead, man. It's okay.
No- I was just saying, not even just CGI, but just if you have this scene here in a new film, it just even that looks artificial to me because it just. I don't know. It looks like the lighting's not natural, or
Yeah.
it's like too sharp to the point it's fake or something. I don't know. I
What-
can't explain
No,
it. It's,
I totally get what you're saying. I totally get what
What's so bizarre is like a movie like this, it's over 40 years old, and we we asked Scream Factory comes out and everyone's insisting like, oh, if you're a true horror fan, you're gonna get this movie, you're gonna own Black Christmas on Blu-ray. But when it was 1986. I mean, our parents didn't say, "Well, you need to see this movie from 1942. You are going to appreciate this movie." It was
Right.
like, I think it's weird that like our generation really insists that everyone respects the history of film, but in the 80s, we would never watch a movie from 1935 if it killed us.
Yeah, but
Well,
it's true.
I
What
would.
you say is true. But if you look at the film like this, was 40-some years old, it's not that much removed from modern times. They're still doing things in a similar way. They've kind of changed it up a little bit. But
Right.
from the 80s, if you went back to 35, that was a big change.
That's a
Because film, was still talkies had just started up not too long
Right.
before 35. So that was the pioneer days of film. So it was a big difference. By the time they got to the 80s, it was a lot more polished. And then, of course, now it's even more so. So I think the generational jump's not quite as extreme, but I think we
Right.
are more militant about what it is we like about film.
It is interesting. Our society has changed so much, and yet not entirely. Whereas like you look at films from the 20s, and you look at films in the 60s, you can't even believe it's the same medium.
Yep.
We went in 100 years. We went actually in 60 years. We went from horse and buggy to man on the moon. I mean, it's insane.
I mean, and film acting has progressed so much over the years because in the first films made, it was still they were doing the stage acting shtick, where they were overacting and they were talking to the back row when actually they should have been talking to the camera.
Right.
And so that makes older films hard for me to watch because the acting style really bothers me. Unless, of course, I'm watching those old gangster films and those crack me up. Yeah, see? I love that stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna come over there and I'm gonna give you a good one, man. And the film noir stuff is good, but acting has progressed, but not as much from 80 to now as it did from like 30 to 80.
Right.
And I guess what irritates me about CGI is that you watch a movie like Jurassic Park from, 93? Mm-hmm. And then you watch a movie that's produced today with a budget that's 4 or 5 times as much, and the CGI doesn't look as good. That's what confuses me. It's like, how could it look so good in 93 but look like shit in 2016 when they have more money?
I'll tell you why. Because they actually built a T-Rex and only used the CGI in certain shots and used the puppet or the big model for the rest of it. So it was perfect blending, whereas now it's all CG. So you can tell it's not there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still too cartoonish. I don't know how they think it's lifelike. It's not really. I mean, you watch a movie like even a modern movie, Star Wars, you could tell, oh, well, that's definitely CGI. Force Awakens, that looks kind of like it should have been practical, or maybe it is. I don't know, but
I like the new Jungle Book, but I think it's so funny that it's basically an animated movie just using CG, and yet everyone's like, wow, it's the live action Jungle Book. It's like, no, it's still an animated movie. It's all CG.
No, the Planet of the Apes movies, I thought they did a really good job with the CGI on those. It is possible. So I just don't understand why it's not more consistent.
Yeah, that new trailer for War of the Planet of the Apes looks amazing.
It's the the little sensors they put on the actors and all that.
The motion capture.
Yeah, motion capture, exactly. I think that really helps.
Yeah, I mean, when you try to create it without that physical framework, it just doesn't look solid. You can tell it's too fluid.
And that's why Gollum was so effective in the Lord of the Rings films, because they actually were acting with somebody as opposed to, nobody.
Yeah.
And that was, 15 years ago? I mean, hell, that was a while back.
Look at this ball on the end of a stick. That's going to be what you're acting to.
Yeah, it's the interaction between a physical thing. The actors, they're never even on set with the thing they're supposed to be afraid of.
And although I thought Sam Raimi did a good job with the first Spider-Man, there were still some scenes when he's running and jumping from rooftop to rooftop where you could it looked like he didn't have any bones in his body.
Yeah. That's why Spider-Man 2 was better, because there actually was weight to his body when he was swinging.
Oh,
That was definitely the best of the 3.
I like to.
One thing we neglected to mention about these phone calls is how many people are performing during those phone calls, because there's Bob Clark did a voice. Nick Mancuso, the actor, was one of the voices. There was a female actor that did one of the voices. And they just kind of put them all together to create this insane person's, many personalities.
And definitely an inspiration for Scream.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, wow, look at this.
Well, as good as Scream was, it definitely would not have existed without any of the previous films, because that's pretty much, I guess Wes Craven was making fun of himself and the genre as a whole.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's going on with this guy.
That's the old phones, man. You got to find the right one. It's no longer just a mouse click away. Yeah.
Bedford Police, like Bedford Falls.
That's like when you would pick up the phone and get the operator, and they would say, "Put me through to whoever," and they take it and stick it in the thing.
Yeah.
But that's like the
that
motorized.
That's like how my mom grew up. Pick up the phone. Yeah, give me the Johnsons. All right.
That guy looks like whatever the actor guy is from Portlandia.
Fred Armisen?
That's him.
Yeah, the only thing I know about those old telephones is what I learned from Lassie, or something like that.
Had to crank those suckers up.
Oh yeah. You pick it up. Wheel. Operator.
I think people would flip if they saw a gravity-operated toilet. Oh, the good old days. I'm old enough to have been around stuff like that as a little one.
When was the first time you saw Black Christmas, Mike?
Oh man, I don't remember. I'm sure it was probably in the 80s, one of the ones I rented. Anything that was a horror film, I would rent. But I know I definitely saw Halloween and Friday the 13th on that first.
Okay.
Bad way you physically rent stuff.
Yeah.
Mike, do you think you saw Porky's first then, and then this? You think?
Yeah, I saw Porky's before Christmas Story because I saw Porky's in the theater.
Yeah, I got my Porky's 2 and 3 Blu-ray set coming by Christmas, so I'm excited.
Because my parents were kind of like, Americans. No violence, sex is okay, right? I mean, they're like Europeans, I should say, because that's more like over there. Here it's violence and no sex. But I could go see any sex comedy I wanted to see. I could go see Porky's. I could go see Spring Break, whatever. I want to go see Friday the 13th 3. No, you're not going to see it, I ended up going to see it anyway, but it was just weird.
How would you get in?
One time I had a friend that worked at one of the theaters.
Nice.
And I would buy tickets to a movie. He would be an usher, and then he would just be a lookout, and I just walk in and go sit down. That's how I saw Gates of Hell.
But
and, Superstition.
Didn't people go into your theater though, and with the flashlight back in those days, and see if you were sitting
Only
there?
if there was a problem.
Oh.
As long as you were cool. I just kind of sat toward the back and just blended in.
Nobody ever bothered me, man. I just bounced around. I'd stay in the theater the whole fucking day. Watch every movie there.
It would have been
Yeah,
cool
I
to
used
see
to
Gates
like
of Hell in the theater.
As long as you're buying popcorn, they don't give a shit.
I think I bought a ticket to Caddyshack 2 and went and saw Heavy Metal.
Nice.
It's a good choice.
Nice.
Definitely a better choice. than
Wait.
Caddyshack 2.
Caddyshack 2?
Yeah.
Oh, so it was a re-release.
No, it was when it first came out, I believe.
Heavy Metal came out 82.
I think
That would have
Caddyshack
been
2 was...
87, 88.
Was it that far?
Yeah.
Which one was it? It was one of those sequels.
Caddyshack 1?
No, I saw the re-release of that, but we're going back to '82, which is I've lost those memories. Well,
Cash
it's
App
like
too, just like
I would
everybody,
say I have a smaller hard drive. I'm an older model. Okay, I can't hold as much information. So as I learn something new, I have to lose something.
As they say on the internet, you're an analog man living in a digital world.
You got that right.
Well, and there was the punk rock days. So
Yeah, and then there was the glam metal party days. I did drink toxic amounts of alcohol daily back then. Well, the 80s, we were constantly under threat of nuclear war, so the attitude, instead of crying about it and burning buildings down, we just got fucked up. It was just like, hey, party, yeah, everybody was into it. It wasn't like, oh, you party? No, it was like, oh, you party too, cool, let's get together. It was fun.
So was it like Repo Man?
SLC. It was like SLC Punk.
Ordinary fucking people.
Well, what Repo Man cracked me up was that's when the generic thing started getting really popular. Where you go to the grocery store and you'd see like generic beer. It was like a yellow can with black lettering, beer. So when I saw that film, I was like, it was very topical, yeah.
This shot makes me think I'm watching Clue or something. Who is behind door number 3? Colonel Mustard?
But it is something to make an entire movie around one house
Candlestick.
and not make it boring.
yeah.
It's just like it's
Well,
one
I
house.
mean-
How many angles do you have
Well,
on there?
Well, I mean, that's the kind of horror movie that's popular today is the Spook House movie. It's the Insidious and the Conjuring, and those movies take place in one house pretty much. So
Thanks, James.
Yeah.
Is that an improvement over the found footage
Oh yeah. Well,
craze?
yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Combine them both. What do you got? Gravy counters.
That means James Wan, started up 2 different, subgenres in the horror film in the last decade between Saw and obviously Insidious. The low budget, Insidious was made for $900,000 and grossed $100 million. Believe me, Hollywood took notice.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, the paranormal activities and stuff too.
I just hate it when I see it's a boo scare movie with a PG-13 rating because I know exactly what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And it just makes me not want to go see it.
No.
This is great. Him chasing after her.
Woo!
Even these kind of movies, they're never released in theaters anymore. Maybe
No.
direct to video.
Yeah.
Cheap.
Why go for the PG-13 rating if that's the case? Like, it's so stupid.
I mean, to me, I feel like if you make your movie, submit it to the ratings board, it gets a PG-13, okay, fantastic, because that's
Sure.
the movie you wanted to make. But if you are making what's supposed to be a hard R-rated film, and you go in there and, you know, you're redubbing everything to cut out the F words, but the mouth is still saying the F word, you know, and you're trying to make a PG-13 that way by cutting down the gore and that type of thing, I got issues with that. Unless you're going to release it unrated on Blu-ray as well, then fine, you know. I need to see it in the theater. I can just go watch it when the real version later in 2 months.
Right.
There's a scene like that in Galaxy Quest. I guess they originally intended that to be R.
Yeah.
Sigourney Weaver's in that one, the chopper tunnel, and she clearly, you know, fuck. You can clearly see her mouth the word, but they dubbed over it with a non-offensive word, and it was just like, really? I was supposed to not notice that?
I noticed that not too long ago also. Like, farts!
Yeah, or something like that. Something really lame. Great movie, though, even though they
Freak.
did that.
Hard F.
Well, if you ever seen Scarface on network TV, try it.
No.
That's
Yeah.
that's funny.
That or
That's funny.
Casino on USA.
You know, people ask me a lot of times, because I'm not a very big fan of the PG-13 rating, why I don't like it. Well, you can't like a movie because it's PG-13? No, that's not it. But when I go into a movie knowing it's PG-13, I know the limitations, so I know how far they can go. And they're not going
Yeah.
to go, you know, to a place that maybe they should go, given the subject matter, just because of the rating.
Right.
Now, when I go, it's not important that it's R-rated, but I feel like they have more leeway in storytelling with an R rating, that they might go someplace that they couldn't go otherwise, and
The-
that's
the ironic-
generally why I
the ir-
prefer it.
The ironic thing, though, is today's PG-13 is almost an R-rated film in 1988.
Oh, absolutely it is.
Yeah. Well,
So-
PG movies in the 70s would be R-rated now.
I think I see stuff on network television these days that would be like NC-17
Like Hannibal.
or like The Walking Dead. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, The Walking Dead. Well, Sons of Anarchy was crazy graphic, man. They got away with stuff as far as language, nudity, violence. That I mean, it's pretty shocking. I thought.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think we're getting towards. It's not going to be any networks anymore. Everything's going to be on some sort of platform. So,
Yeah.
like you know, Netflix, Amazon, original, whatever. You know, so nobody really cares about that stuff anymore. It's like make what you want to make. You know, you want to show an ass, show an ass.
Yeah.
And Netflix has got some stuff going on.
I
They're doing
I
pretty
gotta
good.
just say, the best thing about TV or the platforms today is I don't have to be home on a certain night anymore to catch this stuff. I can, you know, either set the DVR or just stream it later or whatever. I love that because I hated those days where you had to be home Tuesday night, 8 o'clock to see it. Now I can just, you know, watch it, you know, unless it's like must see show like Game of Thrones or something like that where you have to see it before it gets spoiled on Facebook for you, you know.
Yeah.
I think there's a big disadvantage to having a lot of movies at your fingertips, a big collection or Netflix or whatever, because
Yeah.
you know, the option paralysis kicks in. It's like, what do I want to watch? You know,
Yeah.
if you had limited availability, it would be, you know, I don't know, maybe a more satisfying experience because of that. It takes away some of the specialness of it.
It totally does, Mike. Because back in the 80s, 90s, just hunting for Dario Argento movies was like a treasure quest, you know. And now you mention Suspiria or Opera or something like that, and within 5 seconds, people have it streaming. It's not as cool anymore to like find it.
And I think maybe that's why this generation doesn't understand our fascination with film and why we're so protective of it, because it's just another medium for them. They have so much stuff flying at them. Why is that more special than this?
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
Why should I think, you know, what's the big deal? It's just a movie. They don't understand what we went through.
They don't collect. They just stream.
It's our version of walking uphill in the snow to school each way. You know what I mean? It's just, you're just an old man. Well, kind of.
Now I own the special collector's edition Blu-ray steelbook of this film I've been trying to get a hold of since I was like 8 years old. And I wasn't able to find it anywhere to watch.
Yeah.
And they
Well,
don't
I
understand.
remember the days. I remember the days like with Black Christmas where I couldn't find it. I wanted to watch it, but my local video store didn't have it.
Yeah.
None of my friends had it. I couldn't find it on eBay, so I'm out of luck. You know what I mean? Same thing with when I discovered Lucio Fulci stuff. It's like, okay, I want to watch this, but where do I find it? My local video store doesn't have it. So I mean,
Nowadays,
You're
now
answering
everything.
ads.
Now everything is right at your fingertips. I mean, it's either on Netflix, on some streaming service. You can buy it off eBay or Amazon, or you can freaking torrent it.
yeah, exactly. I mean, if you can't find the physical or the digital on Vudu or something, eBay, you can always just go to a torrent site.
Yeah. Well,
We don't
know
condone. The Sausage Factory does not condone torrent websites, but
No.
they're there.
I don't
I
at
remember-
all. I think that's the reason why film is suffering so much right now.
Well, I honestly, I think if people really like the movie, they'll purchase it in some way. I think they've just been screwed over so much by so many movies and TV shows that they want to kind of have a little test bite first before they pluck
I
money
think that's a
down for it.
generational thing too. I think there's a certain segment of the population, large segment, that just feels like they shouldn't have to pay for anything anymore. Like, I don't, make a lot of money, so I shouldn't have to pay for movies. But that's bullshit because these people spent their hard time and money to make something, and they're getting no money in return.
I bought a lot of movies on DVD and VHS back in the day, and got them home and found out they sucked, and they would,
Sure.
you know what I mean? Yep, that happened a lot.
Yeah.
Another industry that's really hurting is the music industry because, back in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, music was really important to me. I mean, trying to find out about these different bands, you never had an opportunity to go see them live unless I drove over to Chicago or something, which my parents would never let me do, of course. You're not going to Chicago. But just trying to find and there were no CDs, so you're trying to find the cassette tape or the record somewhere, or trying to tape trading because you didn't have, sites where you can't just go to YouTube, type in the band name and all the records come up. I mean, you could just sit there all night long. It wasn't like that, and so I don't think modern people take music as seriously as we used to, and that's why when people go, how come all this pop stuff is so popular? There's nothing to it. It's even worse than the 80s pop music. Well, music is not as important now as it used to be.
Right.
Now that's just background music. It's got a nice beat to it. It's like cotton candy. It's sweet. It's over with. Move on to the next thing. And
Well, back in the 80s, when you couldn't find some of these horror films, you could write in the back of Fangoria. They'd have these things saying, "If you want to see these movies, write this to this address." And they were like making VHS bootlegs of Laserdiscs and stuff and send them to your way.
like the
Another
old days.
Yeah.
another rumor I'd heard about this movie that is unsubstantiated, but I heard that the original ending was Olivia Hussey there in the bed asleep, and everybody leaves except for the one girl's boyfriend who was in the Vin Diesel coat. He stays there with her, and after they all leave, he goes, Agnes, it's me, Billy. So he was supposed to be the killer originally. Now that's another rumor. That's one of those Elvis rumors, but that's another that was the original ending. And what's funny is we've got all these different editions of the Blu-ray with all these different interviews, and I've never heard anybody mention that as far as that being the original ending. I think I did hear in one of the interviews them talking about the Elvis connection. So, but this is still a movie that has mysteries about it. Like everybody knows everything about Friday the 13th and Halloween and those movies. This movie still has a little bit of air of mystery to it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, due to its age and pace, it just doesn't catch on, with the large portion of a newer audience. I mean, there are, of course, there's always people that are going to be interested in stuff, but not as much as before.
But this is definitely a movie I watch every holiday season without fail. I've watched it for God knows how long every year, and it's I really think this is just a great horror thriller that even my mother likes this movie, and she hates horror movies. She hates slasher movies. She recognizes, that it's a great thriller that's, a good mystery, great characters. So, it's just a really darn good movie. And this ending is so just chilling and perfect. And today, the movie would not end like this. Just would not end this way.
And again, the one place they didn't check, the attic.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, almost every horror film ends in a downbeat way, so I could see it ending this way.
Well, I mean, like the killer going uncaught. The killer never even being identified. We don't know anything.
Oh yeah, okay.
About him anyway.
It'd be overly explained in 5-minute monologue or something.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
James Bond villain.
Yeah.
How could
Bob
they
Clark was just trying to see how long you get that girl to have the bag on her head. God.
Yeah, the phone starts ringing again, and that, oh my God, she's in the house all by herself with him. He's not been caught. It wasn't Keir Delay, and it's perfect. Perfect.
There is a cop there on the being an idiot, not paying attention.
Yeah, looks like he's having a smoke.
Yep.
Stupid cops.
It's probably Deputy Doofy from the. It's a new
Scary movie.
It's a new exchange.
F.E.
And there's nobody in the credits listed as Billy.
Nope. Great movie. Great movie. Great movie. Thoughts on Black Christmas as we watch the credits roll? Anybody? Mike, thoughts on Black Christmas?
I think it's definitely the best Christmas-themed horror film. It's a classic. If you're a fan of the original Halloween and you haven't seen this, definitely watch it. Mm-hmm. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Stingray? Final thoughts?
Solid flick, man. I'm gonna have to watch it again with sound this time.
Yeah.
But,
That helps.
The transfer is good. It's not quite as good as what I was hoping, but maybe a little bit of improvement over the other one. But I don't know if I'd run out and grab it.
Well, there's only so much they can do. I think with a movie like this, that was shot on film years and years ago, you can only clean it up so much. You can only, HD it up so much. You know what I mean?
But you can clean it up too much.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Just depends on the quality of that original negative too, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah. Final thoughts, Cameron?
Well, I think it's a movie that, it's a very well-respected film, but I think it's an underseen film, so I'm glad there's a new Blu-ray, at least in the States, that all the new collectors will be able to get. I think they'll like it. If anything, you should have it. If you have A Christmas Story on Blu-ray, you have to have two, at least.
What about you, Rambo? Final thoughts on Black Christmas?
I think the film is okay. I didn't grow up with the film. This is maybe the second time I've seen the film, maybe third. I think there's nothing really wrong with the film. I think it's an all right film. I don't think it's a bad film at all. It's just I can't really say it's a classic. But hell, I'm the guy. I don't like the first Exorcist. I prefer Part 3. So I have an eccentric taste in movies. But it's a well-made film, and I respect what it did because it was doing stuff before a lot of movies started doing that. And I respect Bob Clark for doing that. So, and Olivia Hussey is a good actress. So is Margot Kidder, and yeah, it's not a film I obviously we watch a lot, but and there's other slasher films and Christmas movies I would watch over it. Just I grew up with those films more, but it's a well-made movie, and it deserves respect at least for that. It did the POV shot and the killer before Michael Myers and all that, and even after, between then and like even from then to Halloween, was Halloween the next one that did anything like that? Was there anything in between those 4 or so years?
Not really, no. Not that
So
I'm aware.
even before this, there weren't too many movies except I can't even think of any now. I mean, maybe that Peeping Tom or was like vaguely close, or maybe stuff overseas. But yeah, I respect what it did, and it deserves its place in history of slasher film genre and horror film genre. So definitely respect it.
Some little ungozu noob in the comment section says that it's overrated and gives it a 2 out of 10. So
Yeah, he's on a tirade tonight, man. God.
yeah, what kind of just total noob, man? Total noob.
Oh man.
Okay. Geez, let's see.
Sounds like the kind of guy that thinks Malibu's Most Wanted is a classic.
Well, I think this person does think Malibu's Most Wanted is a classic. As a matter of fact,
This is definitely better than Brave Encounters. So I'll say
that's true. That's very true.
miles better.
Let's see. See what we got going on in Sausage Factory Nation. Max Punishment's watching with us tonight. Apparently, there's going to be a some kind of showing of Black Christmas. In where's that showing going to be at, Max? Christmas Marathon on Tuesday at his theater. Nice. Oh, Quentin Tarantino is doing a Black Christmas Marathon on Tuesday at his theater, and you're going. Nice. Okay, cool.
What does it mean, marathon? Is there like they're doing the remake and this original?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Hostel Part 1 through 8.
I'm not
We're
sure.
gonna watch it 8 times in a row.
Why not? Why not?
I did see somebody was jonesing for some B Junior earlier, and another guy asked, whatever happened to the guy that liked puppets?
Like puppets.
James.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Let me give a shout out to El Barto. El Barto's watching tonight. How are you doing, buddy? Yeah, a lot of people have asked me about B Junior recently as well. B Junior is just enjoying life. He is he's doing well. I think he's kind of put YouTube in his rear view, and he's focusing on life. And more power to him. I'm happy for him. He seems happy. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. And as far as James, I don't hear a whole lot from James anymore. I don't know. I honestly don't know what's going on with James. I don't hear anything from him anymore.
On Facebook, he posted that he was going to go see Rogue One tonight.
Okay.
But other than that, yeah, don't hear
Okay.
too much.
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming he's doing the same. He's living his life, and
There's even James's YouTube videos on his personal channel have slowed down as well. So.
yeah. So. But yeah, they both have. They're welcome back at any time. Anytime they want to return, they are welcome back. So, yeah. Somebody asked me what happened to the little noob from Maine, and I was like, we kicked no. But yes, he got fired. Yeah, but no, Orc is still recovering. He's doing well. We're hoping to have him back sometime during the new year, early in the new year, let me say. And yeah, I know he's with us out in the chat. So speedy recovery to Orc, and yeah, I guess that pretty much does it.
Well, Easy E has no excuse. He can be at work and turn on his Google Plus.
Bullshit.
Orc, I know you're watching, Orc. You are the human resources, public relations, and community manager. Put that in Easy E's file that he has missed yet again. And, It's not looking good for him. And our two Canadians, like I said before the show, them not being here to watch Black Christmas is like them not being here to watch a game of hockey. They have done a discredit to their own country. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. So,
Well, let me read you this real quick. I've got the that warning or that message I was telling you about.
okay.
This transfer. It says, I can't pause it, so I got to read it. The new 2K scan was made from the film negative and retains the grains and softness you would have seen during its original release in 1974. We've not applied any digital noise reduction and restored the original 1:85:1 aspect ratio. So,
Okay. So it sounds like they didn't do much to it. It's a 2K scan, but they didn't do a whole lot to it.
I guess.
They tried to preserve the original.
That's kind of what it sounds like to me. It's a brand new 2K scan, but we didn't do anything to it.
Well, you see a lot of scrubbing. Well, not so much as anymore. You used to see it all the time, where they just scrub all the grain out, and it looks really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
DNR, digital noise reduction.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, it's kind of a good thing though, because sometimes they do too much.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Well, guys, I mean, I guess we've done it all. It's time to wrap up 2016. It's time to wish everybody a happy holiday season and bid you guys farewell until 2017.
Gremlins. We're watching Gremlins now. Is that right?
I think Max wants us, or somebody out there wants us to watch Gremlins right now. Maybe next year. We've had a lot of recommendations for next year's holiday shows, so
I was just
We'll
going to
take
ask
those
Jay real quick.
into consideration.
What are the special features on that new release compared to?
I'm not sure what was included. What commentaries were on the Blu-ray you have?
I have 12 Days of Black Christmas, a midnight Q&A, interviews
The
with
only-
Olivia.
The only
Hussey.
thing that I'm aware of that the new Scream Factory one has, it's got 2 new interviews, and I think that's it, and the new scan. That's it. I think they've collected all the previous special features from all the other releases as well. They've combined it all together, and they've got the 2 new interviews and the new scan.
It's got a ton of special features, but like you said, it was probably on your Season's Grievings or whatever that's called. A lot of that stuff is probably on there.
Yeah.
But it's got 3 different commentaries.
So I guess it's only really a must-buy if you don't own it.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. And
the
I
one-
didn't, so I didn't own the Blu.
Yeah, because the Season Grieving ones, that was a Canadian import, correct? I believe that was.
That was only available from Anchor Bay, Canada. Yes.
Right. So, yeah. So some of these extras are the first time you could get them, America's stateside. So.
That's true.
So
I didn't
for
think
an
of that.
avid collector or for a first-time purchase. That's cool.
It's less than $20. I mean,
That's not
Yeah,
bad.
that's not bad. Yeah, usually a brand new Scream Factory Collector's Edition, you're looking at 25 to upwards of 30. So I mean, not bad.
Sounds
Not
like
bad.
a good purchase.
considering the stuff they're putting out lately, yeah, it's one of their better releases.
Well, guys out there in Sausage Factory Nation and gals, let me just be the first to wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas, a happy holiday season. Whatever holiday you celebrate this time of year, we all hope that you have a great, safe, happy, and warm one. And all the best in 2017. And we'll see you guys again in 2017. So until then, you guys have a great one. Happy holidays to all. Merry Christmas to all. Happy New Year's to all. And we'll see you soon. Take care. Peace.
Happy Kwanzaa.
Yep. Or Tet. Or, whatever.
Whatever floats your boat.
Whatever
Just do it
floats
with
your boat.
gusto.
Do it. Yeah, exactly. Gusto. There you go. All right, you guys take it easy.